What if one of the simplest foods in your refrigerator is not the problem for your blood sugar? What if the real problem is the way you have been told to eat it? I am talking about eggs. For years, many people with diabetes were taught to fear eggs. They were told eggs were dangerous for cholesterol, dangerous for the heart, and something to limit or avoid, so they gave them up. They replaced them with oatmeal, fruit juice, toast, cereal, muffins, and so-called heart-healthy breakfasts. But then something confusing happened. Their blood sugar still went up. Their morning numbers still looked high. Their energy still crashed by mid-morning, and many of them were left thinking, I am trying so hard, why is my body still not responding? That is the part I want to help you understand today. Because eggs are not automatically good or bad for diabetes. They become helpful or harmful depending on three things: how you cook them, what you eat with them, and when you eat them. Those three decisions may look small. But for someone with type 2 diabetes, small breakfast decisions can create a very big difference in how the body behaves for the rest of the day. I am Dr. Adrian, and today I want to explain this clearly, calmly, and practically, not with fear, not with miracle claims, not with internet confusion. I want to explain what eggs actually do inside the body, why some people with diabetes do better with them, why others get no benefit at all, and how to use them in a safer, smarter way. And I want you to stay with me, because later in this video, I am going to explain a morning blood sugar pattern that many people experience but do not understand. You may wake up with high blood sugar before eating a single bite of food. You may blame dinner, you may blame stress, you may blame age. But there is a morning hormone cycle involved, and once you understand it, the timing of your breakfast will make much more sense. Before we go deeper, tell me where you are watching from today. Your city, your country, wherever you are. I like knowing who is listening because this is not just a discussion about eggs. This is about real people, real mornings, real glucose numbers, and real frustration. Now let us begin with the most important idea. When you have type 2 diabetes, the body's main problem is often not that insulin has completely disappeared. Many people with type 2 diabetes still produce insulin. Some produce a lot of it. The deeper problem is insulin resistance. That means the cells in the muscles, liver, and fat tissue are no longer responding to insulin as well as they should. Think of insulin like a messenger knocking on the door of your cells. The message is simple. Let sugar move out of the blood and into the cell, where it can be used for energy. But when insulin resistance develops, the cells do not open the door easily. The messenger keeps knocking. The pancreas may send more insulin, but the sugar still stays in the bloodstream longer than it should. That is why your blood sugar can rise after meals. That is why you may feel tired after eating. That is why a breakfast that looks healthy can still create a glucose spike. And this is where eggs become important. Eggs are rich in high-quality protein. 2 large eggs provide roughly 12 to 13 grams of complete protein. Complete protein means the body receives all the essential amino acids it cannot make by itself. Eggs also contain very little carbohydrate, so by themselves, eggs do not act like bread, rice, cereal, juice, or sweetened foods. They do not pour glucose into the bloodstream. That is why many people notice that a protein-based breakfast feels steadier than a carbohydrate-heavy breakfast. Protein slows digestion. It helps food leave the stomach more gradually. It reduces the speed at which glucose enters the blood when other foods are eaten with it. It also supports fullness, which matters because blood sugar control is not only about one meal, it is also about what cravings happen 2 or 3 hours later. But here is where most people misunderstand the issue. An egg may have very little carbohydrate, but your plate may not. If you eat eggs with white toast, hash browns, sugary ketchup, sweet coffee, orange juice, biscuits, flour tortillas, or processed sausage, your body is no longer responding to eggs alone. It is responding to the whole meal, and the whole meal may be pushing blood sugar higher. That is why someone may say, I ate eggs and my sugar still went up. But when we look closely, the egg was sitting beside refined carbohydrates and sugary drinks. The egg was blamed for what the rest of the breakfast did. This is one of the biggest lessons I want you to take from today. Your blood sugar does not respond to the name of one food. It responds to the total signal of the meal. Now let us talk about cholesterol, because I know many of you are thinking about it. For years, people were told to avoid egg yolks because of cholesterol. And if you have diabetes, that warning can feel especially serious because diabetes can increase the risk of heart disease. So I want to be careful here. Heart health matters. Cholesterol matters. Your personal medical history matters. But blaming eggs alone is too simple. For many people, the bigger drivers of unhealthy cholesterol patterns are not eggs by themselves. They are refined carbohydrates, added sugars, trans fats, excess saturated fat, processed meats, and an overall eating pattern that keeps insulin resistance active. This means the fried potatoes, white bread, sweet drink, processed sausage, and butter-heavy cooking method may be doing more harm than the egg itself. That does not mean everyone should eat unlimited eggs. It does not mean your doctor's advice should be ignored. If you have kidney disease, heart disease, very high cholesterol, a history of cardiovascular events, or a specific diet plan from your healthcare team, you should follow professional guidance. But for many adults with type 2 diabetes, eggs can be part of a balanced, blood sugar-conscious diet when they are prepared simply and paired wisely. The problem was never just the egg. The problem was often the breakfast built around it. Now I want to give you a real lifestyle example, because this is where the science becomes easier to understand. Imagine a woman named Mary. Mary is 71 years old. She has lived with type 2 diabetes for nearly 10 years. She is not careless. She is not ignoring her health. In fact, she is the opposite. She is disciplined, organized, and deeply committed to doing what she believes is right. Every morning, Mary makes what she calls a heart-healthy breakfast: a bowl of steel-cut oatmeal, a spoon of honey, a few blueberries, a glass of cranberry juice that says no added sugar, and sometimes a small whole wheat muffin. Now, if you look at that breakfast quickly, it sounds healthy, it sounds responsible, it sounds like something many older adults were told to eat. But then Mary checks her blood sugar. 45 minutes after breakfast, her reading is over 200. 90 minutes later, it is still high. And this happens again and again. Now imagine what that does emotionally. Mary is not eating candy. She is not drinking soda. She is not being reckless. She is trying. But her body keeps giving her numbers that feel like failure. This is one of the most painful parts of diabetes. It is not only the high reading, it is the confusion. It is the feeling that your effort is not being rewarded. So let us look at the breakfast more carefully. The oatmeal breaks down into glucose. Even steel-cut oatmeal can raise blood sugar in some people, especially when eaten without enough protein. The honey is sugar. The cranberry juice may have no added sugar, but juice still contains natural sugar without the fiber of the whole fruit. The muffin adds more carbohydrate. So by 8 o'clock in the morning, Mary's body has already received a large glucose load. And because she has insulin resistance, that glucose does not move out of the bloodstream easily. Now imagine changing only the structure of that breakfast. Not starving, not skipping meals, not following a complicated diet, just changing the signal. 2 eggs, cooked gently without heavy oil or butter, half an avocado, a generous portion of spinach, tomatoes, peppers, or mushrooms, water, plain tea, or unsweetened herbal tea. Now the body receives protein first. It receives fiber, it receives healthy fat, it receives nutrients, but it does not receive a large fast glucose load. The difference can be dramatic for some people. Instead of a sharp rise, the blood sugar curve may become flatter. Instead of crashing at 10:30, the person may feel steady. Instead of reaching for a snack because the body is hungry again, they may feel satisfied until lunch. And most importantly, the person begins to feel less afraid of breakfast. That matters, because diabetes is not only managed with numbers, it is managed with confidence. When a person understands why the body reacts a certain way, they stop feeling helpless. Now let us get practical. How should eggs be cooked if your goal is steadier blood sugar? The simplest answer is this. Do not turn a simple protein food into a greasy, heavy meal. Boiled eggs are excellent. Poached eggs are excellent. Soft scrambled eggs can be excellent if they are cooked gently in a good nonstick pan without heavy added fat. The yolk already contains natural fat. You do not need to cover the eggs in butter or fry them in a lot of oil. If you enjoy scrambled eggs, use medium heat. Keep them soft. Do not burn them. Do not cook them until they become dry and rubbery. If mornings are busy, boil eggs ahead of time. Make several at once. Keep them in the refrigerator. Then breakfast becomes easy. 1 or 2 boiled eggs, vegetables, water, or tea. Simple. This matters because the best health advice is not the advice that sounds impressive. It is the advice you can actually repeat. Now let us talk about olive oil, because many people ask about it. Olive oil can be part of a healthy diet. But if you are trying to keep breakfast light, steady, and blood sugar focused, you do not need to fry your eggs in oil. You can save olive oil for vegetables, salads, or modest use in meals where it fits your plan. The goal is not to fear fat. The goal is to avoid adding unnecessary fat and calories in a way that makes the meal heavier than it needs to be. Now the next question is even more important. What should you eat with eggs? This is where eggs either become a strong diabetes-friendly breakfast or become part of a blood sugar problem. The best partners are non-starchy vegetables. Spinach is excellent. Tomatoes are excellent. Mushrooms are excellent. Bell peppers are excellent. Cucumber, greens, zucchini, onions in modest amounts, and salad vegetables can also work well. These foods add fiber, minerals, volume, and nutrition without pushing a large amount of glucose into the blood. Spinach is especially helpful because it contains magnesium, and magnesium plays a role in insulin function and muscle health. Avocado is also a strong companion for many people. It contains fiber and healthy fat, which can slow digestion and help you feel full longer. So a very simple breakfast could be 2 eggs with spinach and tomatoes, or 2 boiled eggs with cucumber and avocado, or an omelet with mushrooms, peppers, and greens. This kind of breakfast is not fancy, it is not expensive, it is not a miracle, but it sends the body a steadier signal. Now let me show you the opposite. Eggs with white bread, eggs with fried potatoes, eggs with orange juice, eggs with sweetened coffee, eggs with a biscuit, eggs with processed sausage, eggs with sugary ketchup. That is a completely different meal. And for many people with diabetes, that meal can create a glucose spike, more inflammation, more thirst, more hunger, and more fatigue later in the morning. The problem is not that eggs failed. The problem is that the plate was fighting against them. Now, if this is making sense, I want you to think about your own breakfast. Not what you think is healthy. Not what the package says. Not what you were told 20 years ago. Think about what happens after you eat. Do you feel steady, or do you feel sleepy? Do you feel satisfied, or do you feel hungry again quickly? Does your glucose meter show a gentle rise, or does it show a sharp spike? Your body is giving you information. The question is whether you are collecting it. Now, I want to explain the morning timing issue I mentioned earlier. Many people with diabetes wake up and see a high fasting blood sugar. They feel confused because they have not eaten anything yet. They say, "How can my sugar be high before breakfast?" This can happen because of a natural process often called the dawn phenomenon. In the early morning hours, before you wake up, your body releases hormones that prepare you for the day. These hormones include cortisol and glucagon, among others. One thing they do is signal the liver to release stored glucose into the bloodstream. In a person without diabetes, insulin usually handles this quietly. But in a person with insulin resistance, that glucose can stay in the blood longer. So you may wake up with a higher number even before eating. Now here is the important part. Your first meal can either calm that morning pattern or make it worse. If you wake up, drink sweetened coffee, wait for hours, and then eat toast, cereal, oatmeal with honey, juice, or a muffin, you may be adding a second glucose load on top of the glucose your liver already released. But if you eat protein early, especially with vegetables and fiber, you give the body a different message. You are not pouring in fast sugar. You are giving the body steady nutrition. For many people, eating a protein-centered breakfast within about 30 to 60 minutes after waking may help create a flatter morning blood sugar pattern. This does not mean every person must eat at the exact same minute. It does not mean breakfast timing replaces medication. But if your morning numbers are high, it is worth paying attention to what happens in the first hour after waking. Do you delay food too long? Do you drink coffee with sugar or flavored creamer? Do you eat carbohydrates first? Do you skip protein? Do you eat only fruit? These questions matter. Because your morning routine is not neutral. It is either helping your metabolism find balance, or it is making the first part of the day harder. Now let us talk about one mistake I see often. Some people eat eggs, but they eat them too late. They wake up at 6. They have coffee. They take medication. They check the phone. They move around the house. They do not eat until 9 or 10. By then, hunger is stronger. Stress hormones may still be active. The liver has already released glucose, and the person is more likely to reach for quick carbohydrates. Then they wonder why the morning feels unstable. So if morning blood sugar is a problem for you, try observing your timing, not with panic, with curiosity. Ask, what happens when I eat a protein-based breakfast earlier? Ask, what happens when I eat eggs and vegetables before bread? Ask, what happens when I remove juice? The goal is not to obey a rigid rule. The goal is to learn your own body. Now I want to bring in another example. Imagine a man named Robert. Robert is 66 years old. He is retired. He walks most days. He takes his medication. He is careful during the day, but his fasting blood sugar is stubborn. Many mornings, it sits between 145 and 165. He feels defeated because he thinks, I went to bed fine. Why do I wake up high? So we look at his evening routine. Dinner is usually rice, pasta, bread, or potatoes with some protein. Then around 9 o'clock, he often has a small bowl of cereal or crackers because he feels slightly hungry before bed. None of this feels extreme to him. It feels normal. But overnight, the body still has to process the effect of those carbohydrates. And in the early morning, the liver may release more glucose into the bloodstream. So the morning number is not only a morning issue, it is often an evening issue too. For someone like Robert, a few nights per week, replacing the carbohydrate-heavy dinner with a protein and vegetable meal can be useful. For example, 2 eggs with spinach, mushrooms, peppers, and a small green salad. No rice, no bread, no cereal afterward, no sweet drink. Just protein, vegetables, fiber, and a calm meal. For some people, this kind of evening shift can improve fasting numbers because the body goes into the night with less glucose pressure. But I want to say this carefully. If you take insulin or any medication that can lower blood sugar, do not make major diet changes without speaking to your doctor or diabetes care team. When food changes, medication needs can change. A meal that lowers glucose may be helpful, but if you are taking glucose-lowering medication, it must be done safely. Never stop medication by yourself. Never reduce insulin by yourself. Never use a video as a substitute for medical care. Use this information to ask better questions and make safer decisions with your healthcare team. Now I want to walk you through the most common egg mistakes in a way that is easy to remember. The first mistake is cooking eggs with too much added fat. A small amount of fat in the diet is not the enemy, but when eggs are fried in butter, heavy oil, or served with greasy processed meat, the meal becomes much heavier. For someone with diabetes, heavy high-fat meals may slow digestion in a way that creates delayed blood sugar problems and may worsen insulin resistance temporarily in some people. Keep the cooking simple: boiled, poached, gently scrambled. The second mistake is eating eggs with refined carbohydrates. White toast, biscuits, sweet bread, flour tortillas, hash browns, and many breakfast cereals can raise blood sugar quickly. If you truly want bread, choose a small portion of dense whole grain bread with visible seeds and eat it after the eggs and vegetables. This order can matter. Protein and vegetables first, carbohydrate last. For many people, that simple order creates a smaller glucose rise than eating carbohydrates first. The third mistake is drinking juice. This is one of the most common traps. Orange juice sounds healthy. Cranberry juice sounds healthy. Apple juice sounds natural, but juice removes the fiber and leaves you with a fast sugar load. Even if the label says no added sugar, your body still has to handle the natural sugar. If you want fruit, eat the whole fruit in a reasonable portion. Do not drink the fruit sugar without the fiber. The fourth mistake is throwing away the yolk automatically. The yolk contains nutrients that matter, including choline, vitamin D, B vitamins, lutein, and zeaxanthin. These nutrients support the liver, nerves, eyes, and general health. If your doctor has specifically told you to limit yolks because of your personal condition, follow that advice. But do not throw away the yolk just because of old fear. The fifth mistake is thinking eggs can cancel out a poor diet. They cannot. 2 eggs at breakfast cannot erase sugary drinks later in the day. They cannot erase oversized rice portions. They cannot erase late-night cereal. They cannot erase frequent pastries and snacks. Eggs are a tool. They are not a shield. The sixth mistake is not checking your own response. This is critical. People are different. One person may do very well with 2 eggs and avocado. Another person may need a different portion. Another may have a medical condition that changes the recommendation. So if you have a glucose meter and your healthcare team has asked you to monitor, use it wisely. Check before breakfast, then check 1 to 2 hours after eating, according to your clinician's instructions. Do this for a few days with your usual breakfast, then compare it with a protein-centered breakfast. Do not guess. Let your body show you. That information is powerful. Now let me give you a simple morning plan. This is not a prescription. It is an educational example you can discuss with your healthcare provider, especially if you are on medication. When you wake up, drink water. If you monitor blood sugar, check it as directed. Within about 30 to 60 minutes, prepare a protein-centered breakfast. For many people, that could be 2 eggs, boiled, poached, or gently scrambled without heavy added fat. Add a generous portion of non-starchy vegetables, spinach, tomato, mushrooms, peppers, cucumber, or greens. Add half an avocado if it fits your meal plan. Drink water, plain tea, or unsweetened herbal tea. Eat the eggs and vegetables first. If you choose to include a small portion of whole grain bread, eat it last. Then pay attention. How do you feel after 1 hour? How do you feel after 2 hours? Do you crash? Do you crave sweets? Do you feel calmer? What does your glucose meter show if you are monitoring? This is how you turn breakfast into feedback. Now let us be realistic. Some people cannot eat 2 eggs every day. Some people do not like avocado. Some people have cholesterol concerns. Some people have kidney disease. Some people are vegetarian but not egg-eating. Some people take insulin. Some people have digestive issues. That is why I am not giving you a rigid rule. I am giving you a framework. The framework is protein early, vegetables with the meal, fewer refined carbohydrates, no juice, simple cooking, and personal monitoring. Eggs are one way to do that, not the only way. But for many older adults, eggs are practical because they are affordable, easy to cook, easy to chew, and rich in nutrients. That matters, because diabetes advice often becomes too complicated. People are told to count everything, avoid everything, buy expensive foods, follow strict plans, and somehow never make a mistake. But the body often responds to simple consistency. A better breakfast repeated, a better dinner a few nights per week, a better order of eating, a better understanding of what juice does, a better awareness of the morning hormone cycle. These are not dramatic changes, but they can be powerful. Now I want to return to Mary for a moment. Remember, Mary was not failing because she did not care. She was struggling because she had been given incomplete information. She believed her breakfast was safe because it looked healthy. But once she understood the effect of that meal on her blood sugar, everything changed. The most important change was not just the number, it was her confidence. She no longer felt like her body was betraying her every morning. She understood the pattern, and once she understood the pattern, she could change the signal. That is what I want for you. I do not want you afraid of food. I do not want you confused by every headline. I do not want you blaming yourself when your numbers are high. I want you to become curious, informed, and steady. Because your body is not your enemy. Your body is responding to signals. If you give it a fast glucose signal in the morning, especially without protein, it may respond with a spike. If you give it protein, fiber, and healthy fat in a balanced way, it may respond with more stability. That is not magic. That is body logic. Now, I also want to say something important about aging. After 50 and 60, preserving muscle becomes more important. Muscle is one of the main places where glucose is used and stored. When muscle mass declines, blood sugar control can become harder. That is one reason protein at breakfast matters. Many older adults eat most of their protein later in the day and very little in the morning. Breakfast becomes toast, tea, biscuits, cereal, fruit, or oatmeal. But the older body may need protein earlier. Eggs can help with that. Again, not as the only food, not as a miracle, but as a simple way to give the body high-quality protein at the start of the day. Now ask yourself this. What is your current breakfast asking your body to do? Is it asking your body to handle sugar quickly? Or is it giving your body steady fuel? Is it helping your muscles? Or is it only filling your stomach? Is it reducing cravings? Or creating them? Is it giving you confidence? Or making you afraid to check your number? These are the questions that change behavior. Not shame, not fear, not punishment. Questions, awareness, then action. Now let us build the simplest version of the plan again. Morning. Protein first. Vegetables with it. No juice. Avoid white bread and refined carbohydrates. Cook eggs simply. Eat within the first hour if morning highs are a pattern for you. Monitor your response if your healthcare team has advised you to do so. For dinner, especially if fasting sugar is high, look at the night before. Was dinner heavy in rice, bread, pasta, potatoes, cereal, sweets, or snacks? If yes, try shifting a few dinners toward protein and vegetables with your doctor's guidance if you are on medication. This is how you stop guessing. You connect the dots. Morning number, evening meal, breakfast timing, food pairing, medication safety, your own glucose response. When you connect those dots, diabetes begins to feel less mysterious. And when it feels less mysterious, it feels less frightening. That emotional relief is important because living with diabetes can be exhausting. The constant decisions, the numbers, the food labels, the advice from family, the warnings from doctors, the fear of complications, the guilt after eating something wrong, the confusion when you thought you did everything right. I want you to hear this clearly. You are not weak because diabetes is difficult. You are not foolish because you believed oatmeal and juice were always safe. You are not careless because your fasting sugar is high. You are learning how your body responds, and learning gives you power. So tomorrow morning, do not begin with confusion. Begin with a clear experiment. If eggs are appropriate for you, try a simple egg breakfast. 2 eggs, or the amount your healthcare professional agrees is suitable for you. Vegetables, water or unsweetened tea. No juice, no white toast, no sweet muffin, no sugary coffee. Eat protein and vegetables first. Then observe, not for 1 minute, not with panic. Observe over several mornings. Look at your hunger. Look at your energy. Look at your cravings. Look at your glucose readings if you monitor. Let your body teach you. And if the numbers improve, do not call it luck. Call it information. If they do not improve, do not call it failure. Call it information. Either way, you learn. That is how real control begins. Not by following every trend, not by fearing every food, not by blaming yourself, but by understanding the signal your meal sends to your body. Eggs can be a good signal. Simple protein, low carbohydrate, nutrient-dense, affordable, easy. But only when the rest of the plate supports the same goal. Cook them simply, pair them wisely, time them thoughtfully, respect your medication plan, and watch your own response. That is the message. Not that eggs cure diabetes. They do not. Not that everyone should eat the same breakfast. They should not. The message is that many people have misunderstood eggs, feared them unnecessarily, or eaten them in a way that cancels out their benefit. And once you correct that, breakfast can become much easier. I want to leave you with this. Your next meal is not just food. It is a message to your body. Every morning, you get to send a new message. A message of confusion, sugar, and stress. Or a message of protein, fiber, steadiness, and care. You may not control everything about diabetes, but you can control the next signal. And sometimes, one better signal repeated every morning becomes the beginning of a very different life. If this helped you understand eggs and blood sugar more clearly, share it with someone who is struggling with diabetes and does not know what to eat for breakfast. They may not need another complicated diet. They may just need one clear explanation at the right time. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not personal medical advice, and it does not replace your doctor, dietitian, endocrinologist, or healthcare team. Always speak with your healthcare professional before making changes to your diet, especially if you take insulin, diabetes medication, blood pressure medication, cholesterol medication, or if you have heart, kidney, liver, or other medical conditions. I am Dr. Adrian. Take care of yourself. Keep learning. And remember, your body is listening to the signals you send. Make the next one count.